Welcome back, you guys. How you all doing today? In today's video, I'll be discussing more transfer plans for this summer as the window is going to open again in the next few months. And as we already know, the club now are fully preparing and planning to get business and deals done to get ready to mount a serious title challenge for next season. In today's video, I'll be discussing the latest reports surrounding Declan Rice and some news surrounding DECLAN as well. So I hope you guys definitely enjoy, show your love, show your support, smash that like button. And without wasting any more time, let's get straight into things. Let's start things off by discussing news coming out from Italy surrounding our continued interest in DECLAN from Juventus. Now, this report comes from Corriere dello Sport, and they report that with Rudiger, Christensen and Aspilicueta's future all being in doubt at this point in time, we're looking to heavily revamp our defence for next summer. The report states that DECLAN is seen as the main defensive option for many reports coming out from Italy, and we do know that Juventus do have a 125 million release clause placed on DECLAN. That is a ridiculous amount of money. I can't really see any club being willing to spend that type of money, and reports have suggested that Juventus are more than willing to negotiate down. However, they still want a three-figure fee, and they're expecting to receive around 100 million euros, which is like nearly 80 million pounds. And with DECLAN also being a player on a massive contract at Juventus, earning over 11 million per season, you'd imagine that any business you're looking to get done to secure him is going to cost you just unfathomable amounts of money. And the fact that I'm even using words like unfathomable just highlights and just emphasizes how expensive he's going to be. I have to give my opinion straight away. I just don't see this happening. I'm sorry. Even in a hypothetical world where, let's say, the Koundé deal collapses, I still don't see us going in to make a big money move like this for a player like DECLAN. It's got nothing to do with his ability or his potential, and I'm not here to suggest that these reports are lies or being made up. As I said in the previous News Daily video, listen, most of these stories we get, there is some concrete truth in the fact that clubs have very vast transfer shortlists. If you're looking at players for certain positions, you're not looking at one or two. There are a ton and host of players you're looking at. There's a reason why clubs have big scouting departments, especially for big clubs like us as well too. And if anything happens to your first choice or second choice options, you need to make sure that you have alternatives in line. And DECLAN, of course, ticks many boxes. His age, his experience as well too, and most importantly, his leadership ability as well. I do feel like as we transition into the future, we definitely need to have that profile of defender that does have that leadership ability. We've always profited of having defenders of this nature. I'm looking at guys like John Terry, and the most famous example, David Luiz was a big leader at the club and in the backline as well too. And now we're seeing this currently with your Rudigers and your Thiago Silvas. Listen, I'm not here to say that DECLAN's a bad player, because he definitely is not one. I'm just saying, for that money, I don't see it happening. Especially when Koundé is more of a realistic option, he's more of a main option as well too. It would take something incredible for that deal not to go through in the end. Anyway, let's get this first story out of the way. Let's focus now on the main story, and that is all things Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice is shaping up to be one of the most in-demand players in the world when the summer window does open up. Reports have been coming out over the past 24 hours. I'm going to use the Telegraph's report as my example here. We know that West Ham failed in bringing in any new names during the January window, and for a club that has ambitions to, get a Champions League spot, to not sign anyone to help reinforce your squad, to not sign in particular a striker, especially when you have not replaced Sebastian Haller, where Antonio is your main striker in the team, well, it doesn't really say too much about your ambitions. And with Declan Rice, we do understand and already know that he is not looking to commit to signing any contract extensions with West Ham. Of course, when he had previous moves priced out away from him, he wasn't particularly happy with that. And of course, this is the main reason behind why he is looking to fulfill his existing contract in hopes of securing a bigger move in the future. And I guess we can piece together what that move is and what move he's hoping gets completed. And that, of course, is returning back to his boyhood club. Now, Rice also has interest from Man United and from Man City as well too. So it might not be as easy as we think, especially when our main midfield options for next summer is either Rice or Tchouameni. It's a crazy one, to be honest. Me personally, even though I think both are in that same tier list, that same category, S rank, whatever you want to call it, these guys are of that same nature and caliber. I'm sorry, Rice is one of the best midfield players in the Prem, in my opinion. Tchouameni's one of the best in Ligue 1. These guys will grow over the next few years, and more people will realise just how incredible both players are. Unfortunately, we can't sign both because we can't afford to. And when you look at the options we already have in your Mounts, your Covers, your Jorginhos, your Kantés, and we know Gallagher is destined to come back for next season as well too. Unless we did something crazy and sold maybe like a George, Cover, Kanté, etc., I don't see us doing any business to secure both midfield options, even though it would be amazing to have both these guys playing for us, because I see both of them as like real Chelsea style midfield players. Now, Rice is heavily appreciated by many people at this club, not only from the scouting team but also from many players in the squad as well as Thomas Tuchel himself. Now, I remember I think a few months back or last year when it was reported that maybe Lampard was the only one really pushing for a Declan Rice move. That wasn't necessarily as accurate. We know that Tuchel also admires the player. It's not the first time reports have suggested this as well too. And it does seem like potentially something is going to happen this summer. Rice and Tchouameni are both valued around the same amount, so there's no excuses anymore about being priced out. If you want to sign great players, you have to spend the money. And it does not surprise me why Thomas Tuchel would be a big fan of the player, not only for his ability on the field, not only for the tactical role that he can fulfill in the team, but also because Thomas Tuchel, one of the main coaching philosophies he has is the fact that he loves a united squad. He loves squad harmony. Signing the right players, the right personnel, the right mentalities is just as important as having that ability in the player. And Rice, for sure, is Chelsea material because he came from our academy, for God's sake. Like, he left us at 15 years old to sign for West Ham. This guy literally has like Cobham DNA inside him. And is it any surprise why he's doing so well playing for West Ham? Absolutely not. You know, we've had a habit of signing players from West Ham who've ended up having played such a big part in our history. Two notable names standing out, of course, Joe Cole and Frank Lampard. For me, Declan Rice follows in their same leads. I get a bit surprised sometimes why any link surrounding him is always met with certain hostility, maybe from like certain parts of the fan base. One of the common arguments used against Declan Rice is why so many people are twerking for him. Like, I've never personally understood that one, because like, doesn't everyone twerk for every player that's linked with us? I mean, all the big names are being linked with, you're heavily seen twerking involved. So I mean, it's just part and parcel of how it works with football today. But I mean, of course, you know, for me, Rice fulfills the role that we desperately need, and that is having a midfield destroyer in the team. I think it's quite clear now that we need to transition away from the way we're playing to a more offensive way of playing. I think by playing more offensively, hopefully the drama of the attacking players will die down. And as I keep saying, you know, just from simple business sense, if you're paying all your money to have attacking players yet you can't get the best out of them, it really doesn't make any sense, does it? Something has to be done to address that, and you can only address issues in the squad by using transfer windows. Declan Rice, for me, can do everything. Some people feel like he would maybe struggle playing in a more possession style game, which really does baffle me. I think sometimes when we see players playing under certain managers in their systems, we forget that you have to actually analyze the individual player by himself, not analysing playing in that setup, to really see how he can, of course, you know, acclimatise playing in different ways. We know that West Ham play in a very defensive style and manner, but just because they don't necessarily use heavy use of the ball doesn't mean that their players obviously can't do that. For example, let's say Ben Rama was to sign somewhere else. Are you saying that his game wouldn't translate in a more offensive system? Absolutely not. And with Rice, you can already see in the details in his game how this would translate playing at a higher level. One thing I always have to see in any midfield players being linked with us is whether they play one touch, two touch. That is the most important thing. You have to be composed receiving the ball in tight areas. You have to be a midfield player that's constantly looking to receive from your defense, that's constantly rowing those midfield lines to find areas in which you can receive the ball, turn and make things happen. And Rice demonstrates this in abundance. I see this guy play constant line breaking passes. He has that trademark like low driven pass that literally takes out players for fun when he uses that. It's a shame that maybe West Ham don't utilise that skill as much, but if he comes to a system like us for next season, playing 4-3-3 where you have maybe Mount as one box-to-box mid, Gallagher, Havertz is another one, for example. You know, finding those spaces in the half space. We know how Tuchel likes to use those guys in the midfield three. We've seen that recently in other games as well too. Rice is going to have so many options when it comes to that build-up phase. On top of this too, you guys, most importantly, he is a guy that covers ground. He is a guy that has incredible defensive intelligence. You know, he knows when to leave his lines. He knows when to sniff out danger. He knows how to close down those passing angles. He's strong in the tackle. He's a guy that's not giving away fouls for fun either. He's not really sliding for tackles because he's in the right position to begin with. And you need to see that high defensive IQ. It has been that same high defensive IQ that West Ham have been benefiting from for the past 3 seasons now. And he's a very intelligent player, especially with how he defends. You know, he's got certain little skills he likes to use. For example, he likes to use many dummy tackles, and the effective use of these tackles is that, you know, you kind of funnel your opposing player into the areas you want him to be in. For example, let's say he's running at you. If you pretend that you're going to move to the right hand side, that player's going to think, okay, I need to move to the left. But that's when you're falling for Rice's trap. And he's not the only player to do this, of course, but, you know, many top players, you know, they have these little individual skills in their game that elevate how they play and how they fulfill their roles. And for me, guys like Rice, Tremaine, as I stress, they're the same category. Whichever one we get, I'm going to be extremely happy with, because we desperately need a midfield player of this profile if we have hopes to go to another level. Because, I mean, the way we're playing now, we've seen that we're not going to win a league title playing this type of football forever. We'll get Champions League spots, we'll probably win a few trophies here and there, but surely our ambition is to be much higher than that. And as I keep saying, surely our ambition has to be the very best. So to do that, we must strengthen our system and improve and get the best out of every single player in the first team and the squad as well. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. I'm the EFC, this is Blue Line CV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.